Hi there. Let me start off by introducing myself. I haven't really ever made YouTube videos in the past. I'm making this video partially in response to Lathias's recent video. But I've been wanting to do this for a long time, as I've played this game for a while, and I've argued with the developers of this game for a very long time about where they should take the game and why I think they should take the game there. But yeah, so I have personally played this game for almost 1,000 hours. I started playing the game when they added crafted weapons to the game. Now, that's when they actually added them to the game to find in the world, not when you could actually craft them. So it would have been either 2015 or 2016. I can't really remember. But so yeah, I've been playing the game for a while. I know the map really well. For the most part, I just come back every time they come out with a new big update just to check things out, and I'll play the game for a week or two until I get tired of it. I get tired of it mainly due to a number of issues which I will be discussing in this video. But yeah, so this video I'm just gonna be kind of demonstrating one of the core issues that I think this game has, and I think Loot the Ice kind of showed parts of it, although I'm going to go a lot more in-depth than he did, and it's going to be about an hour of gameplay. In the meantime, I'm just going to ramble about different things that devs can do, kind of like how Luthias did, although he didn't really ramble. And then I'll have some more videos that are much shorter that won't really incorporate gameplay, but will instead touch on what I think the core issues are, how we can get around them, and if we can't get around them, what can the devs do to make up for them. And I mean, personally, I've lost a lot of hope for this game because the developers themselves, they have a view of what they want this game to be, and what they want the game to be, in my eyes, is not a game that will ever be popular. Luthias might disagree with this. I'm sure a lot of other people will disagree with this. I'll touch a little bit on it today in this video, but I will be making other videos for that. So to start off for this video, I have a base on this server, but I just respawned to kind of show you guys what it would be like if a new player spawns into this game. Like Luthias shows, you usually just spawn with some pants and a shirt, a flashlight, and a map and shoes. This is a pretty this is a pretty populated server. It's not full, but everything I'm going to show you can be done on a full server. I mean, granted, you might not be able to watch this video and progress the same way in which I do. I have nearly 1,000 hours in the game. I know exactly where to go, what places to loot. But in my opinion, the game should be still hard even on players with 1,000 hours, and the game isn't hard. The hardest thing in this game is PvP, and that's why people play this game largely for PvP, because the survival aspects are a joke, like Luthias showed out. So I spawned in, I forget the exact name of it. I think it's Pine Parks. It is Pine Parks. It is a trailer park that's north of the river. It's pretty good in terms of loot. I'll check it out here for like 10 minutes, and then I'm going to move on, just because I can better use my time elsewhere in terms of, well, really, I think the goal is to get a good gun, right, and progress yourself in the game. But yeah, I think to start off with, I'm not going to talk about the survival issues just yet. I'm going to talk about why I think there's no sense of progression in this game. I think there's no sense of progression because finding items is a joke. There's items fucking spawn pretty much everywhere. There's so many items in the world. AT-15s, Mod 16s, high tier guns are a dime a dozen, and it doesn't make any sense. I mean, as you can see, this isn't even necessarily a great loot spot, I would say. And I've already got a pretty good backpack. I've got a leather jacket, which is like one of the best torso items you can get. Of course, it's a lot of bugs in this game. I'm not sure if I want to take that ATV. I'd have to spend the time trying to find 2 wheels and the rest. I think I'm just going to run. But I think this will actually highlight some... I'll try to come up with some of my solutions as to how they can change this. I mean, in my eyes, it's just really easy to... You know, the typical gameplay for me will be is I'll spawn. You'll spawn somewhere in the south. You'll run straight through Pinecrest. You'll run straight through Salt, straight through Brightmoor, whatever it is, Woodhaven. You won't really loot there. I mean, you might stop to loot a couple places to get a backpack or something, but you're not gonna go house to house. I mean, I can't remember the last time I actually went into a house hoping to find a gun or something. You know, like. It's all just a joke. It's basically useless parts of the map, and I think that's one of the things that devs should touch on is the first thing, reducing the amount of loot in the world, the rate at which things spawn, especially guns, higher tier guns. Like, I think I think if they did that and then they went back to the south part of the map and really looked at, all right, what's not working here? Okay, why are new players joining the game and they're claiming they can't find anything and that they get bored and they cuz in my eyes I can totally see how a new player joins this game, they go into Pinecrest and they don't find a single thing. You know, they might find something. I mean, theoretically anything spawns anywhere, right? But you know, they see a dead town because for the most part, people don't really hang around those areas. There's no reason to, right? And, you know, it's just like you have these kind of buggy mutants that are just kind of roaming around. The game seems dead. Well, let me tell you guys, there's a whole, if you don't know this game well enough, there's a whole other side to this game, and that is the north. For me, I tend to stick around in the northwest, okay? There's a bunker there. There's a hospital. There's there's a radiated zone. There is a roadway with a ton of cars. In this game, cars are overpowered. Like, there is too much loot in cars, I would argue. I mean, I already have a gun, 19 round mag. Look at that. It's in a car. And it will get way better as time goes on. I'm going to try to just start running because I really just want to, I don't want to show the South too much. Mainly because the loot gets better as you progress further upwards, which that's how it should be. But I think that the numbers at which it happens is too great, and I think that the South really lacks in content. And I think the way that they could fix this is they make survival aspects harder, and they make the survival aspects in the North much harder, such that when you're a fresh spawn on a server, you are forced to stay in the South for a bit. Okay, you stay in the South for a bit, you loot some houses, you find some low-tier weapons, maybe a pistol with a mag and some bullets, or a Wastelander, you know, maybe a Carlington or something. You know, maybe get some base armor, and then that will allow you to maybe get to a checkpoint, okay, somewhere in the middle of the map. Then maybe if you get lucky, you find an AT-15 with some ammo. And then maybe you build a base and you start stockpiling. And then once you're geared up enough, and whether or not you're playing with friends, then you can take on the challenge of going to the hospital or going to the bunker. But that's not how the game operates. The game operates right now, you can go there as a fresh spawn and get basically fucking the highest tier gear in the amount of time it takes up to run up there, basically. Like, and yeah, I mean, I don't think that should be the goal of this game, really, because, like, I think the goal of the game should be you progress throughout the game, you try to survive against elements, against storms, against mutants, against trying to find good water to drink and good food to eat. And then, as a result of that, PvP encounters will be more meaningful, right? Because during that entire time, you'll be trying to survive. and then you might come across someone, and if they kill you, then they kill you, and you lose all your progression. But that's the thing. I'm asking for a more hardcore game, and I think when you're thinking about a survival game, it is hardcore in essence. I mean, if you look at Rust is actually really hardcore. The survival elements aren't that bad, right? I mean, in some areas it can be, but the hardcore aspect of Rust is that the servers are so large that you are constantly fighting people. Constantly. Unless you're playing on like a large map with a low server size, you are going to be constantly fighting people in Rust. And that will never, I'm pretty sure that's never going to happen in this game, because I'm pretty sure the devs have made clear that the server size at 50 right now will not increase. Personally, I'd like to see it increase. I'd like to see it increase to 200, and then if they find that's too much, then maybe they can lower it, or because I know that they want to keep this vision of the game, but I mean, personally, I think if you had 200 people on the map, you would still you'd be able to spread out to other parts of the map to find loot, and that would really bring people to other parts of the map, and it would sort of entice the progression that I speak of. Like, if I was on a 200 person server and I walk into Pinecrest and I can't find anything because it's been picked over, then I would have a reason to maybe go to a campsite that I know of that's in the woods that maybe a lot of new players don't know of, or maybe I go to the cave in the middle of the map, and assuming they fix loot, I might be able to find a thing or two there. But so yeah, basically what I'm saying is reduce the amount of loot, balance the loot, which I will have to make a whole separate video on here, because I don't really have my thoughts ordered right now, because I'm trying to play. This is my first time doing this, and it's a lot, man. I mean, you know, I don't understand some of the design decisions the developers make. I mean, it seems like they want this game to be realistic, but then they add something like the sledgehammer, which basically says, all right, well, you get one sledgehammer and that goes through one Toba wall, whereas to do that with C4 it requires 16 C4. Okay, well, you can farm C4, and their argument is like the sledgehammer should be so rare that you find it through raiding, or you just happen to find it and it's used alongside with the C4, because the C4 is readily craftable. Although that's not really true, because for one, I don't even have the guide to make C4 on this server. I'm not going to go out of my way to find the guide either, because it's super rare spawn. I know you can find it in airdrops, so if I had to find it, I'd probably seek out more airdrops. I'm a solo player right now. I've played with a couple groups in the past, but you know, I'll touch on that maybe a little bit later on what I can think what they could do with the guides. But the C4 is not readily available to everyone, so it does kind of fit into their vision of, well, raiding should be this end game thing that you only really do after you get a base established. You know, I don't know, because like I play this game, right? I loot in this game, and I fill up my base with loot. I'm going to show you that later. I've got a base full of guns and high-tier guns and ammo, but I can't craft explosives. Like, why would I want to raid at this point, right? The only reason I'd want to raid is to fuck with my neighbors. That's pretty much it. Or maybe to find a really rare item. Maybe they have an M249, right? I don't care. I don't want an M249. Why the fuck would I want an M249, right? Or maybe they got a sledgehammer and I want the sledgehammer. But if you look at raiding in other games, I would say the main reason for raiding is progression and taking their items, taking their resources, right? You look at Rust, whether or not it's a full out, you know, use all your stuff to raid, or it's an econ raid, like you're using melee weapons and maybe a flamethrower on a wooden base. The incentive is to basically profit and get their resources. Now there is incentive to control your area. I mean, a lot of clans will essentially raid other people just to get them away from their area. That is incentive, but I would argue that you can't really do that on this game because you raid people and they still have their base. And at best, you only take down like 2 or 3 walls to get to their loot. So the only thing that you do is you could take all their stuff, and if you feel like it, you can despawn what you can't take. And, it's, they might get pissed and leave the game, and their base might despawn. But it's not usually the case. Mainly because, like, you honestly don't lose any progression. Again, there's no sense of progression. If someone were to raid me tomorrow, I honestly, I wouldn't get upset because I live near the hospital. I live near the bunker. I can just spend another couple hours looting, and I'll be in almost the same place. Like, I mean, yeah, I'll be mad about the rifle silencers I lost, but there's no mechanic for them to wipe me from the game, so they haven't controlled their area. I'll just return, and if I find out who raided me, then maybe I find a sledgehammer and I raid them. Right? Like, so this issue though would require something like they would have to incorporate, I think, some sort of system like Rust where you can essentially take over someone's base. I know they won't ever do that, but I'm just trying to examine the systems of this game and how it plays out. They've added raiding as a feature to the game, but there's largely no point to it. I mean, I think the developers need to understand that. Personally, I think that the reason why people raid in Rust and Conan Exiles and Ark is to control their area, to profit, to progress, and and at the end of the wipe cycle in Rust, people will raid for fun and they'll raid for revenge. But at the beginning, they're almost always raiding to profit, right? You get into a wooden base, they've got some high-qual metal. What do you do with that high-qual metal? You upgraded the 2x2. You upgrade the inner part of your 2x2, so it's harder to raid, right? And I think that's how this game should, in essence, be working, right? I think that I'm gonna advocate for wipes, which I know the developers will never do. And this I'll touch on this issue in another video, a shorter video. But the developer should wipe the game. They have every reason to wipe the game. And to say that it doesn't fit in with their vision it's just. I mean, if their vision of the game is to say, well, we don't want to wipe the game, then you can't argue with that, right? But it's not. I would argue that wiping the game isn't really taking away from the soul, like the core essence of the game. I think the core essence of this game is the atmosphere and immersion that is the map and the survival elements, right? That's essentially what a lot of these games have in common, and the PvP, like the combat systems. Wiping the game doesn't really change anything. It actually adds a lot of replayability. That's why Rust is so popular. I mean, you boot in, let's say you're on a weekly wipe server on Rust. You boot in, usually with a clan, although you can play Rust solo, it's very hard. You boot in with a couple of your buddies. Let's say you're on a trio server. And, that first night you progress, and hopefully you guys are good enough that you get a stone 2x2 down. Then the next day, you do some more farming, and maybe you have enough to raid a shitty wooden base near you. Let's say it's a good enough raid that you profit. Then you progress, and by the end of the wipe, let's say that 2x2 is now a honeycombed, and the inner part of it is, armored because you found high-quality metal. The game can work absolutely can work in the same way. The developers just haven't found workarounds to it. And the question is whether they want the game to work in that way, and I don't think they do. Because I think the way they want this game to work is that you start on the game. You sorry, I'm trying to concentrate for a second here because there might be some people here. This is a checkpoint outside of Woodhaven. For those of you who don't know, it's an all right spot. Yep, there's someone here. Hey man, I'm friendly. I don't have anything. I'm just running around. I'm gonna leave. Yeah, I'm not trying to get in a fight because I don't want to ruin this video. I'm also not really able to pay attention to any PvP encounters right now because, yeah. Where was I? Right. So if their vision of the game is you boot into the game, you make a base, and then you continuously upgrade the base until at the point in which you kind of just get bored of towing metal parts, and that's if you get a car or a tractor, which anyone can get a tractor, but you get so tired of it, and this is what I think happens. I think people get so tired of it. They have 2,000 hours doing this. It's like, what is the point, right? Like, what is the point in making this base and logging in every you don't even have to log in every couple days. You could with a base like that, you could probably log in every like 3 weeks just to maintain it, and it will stay there. Most of it will stay there. I can guarantee you no one's going to waste their time trying to destroy that thing. They might raid it, but they're not going to try to destroy it. Rust is different, and I mean, people won't try to destroy bases in Rust, but it happens in a way such that you raid them, you get to their tool cupboard, and then you lock the base off so it decays, and then someone might come along and take over the decayed base, or the people who had that base just quit until the next wipe, and the base goes away. Yeah, I'm probably speaking into the wind here to say I want the game to be like that, in essence like that. I don't want a weekly wipe cycle. I think that's too much. I think a monthly or 2-month wipe cycle would be better, but honestly, the large reason why I advocate for a wipe cycle is because they'd be able to fix the core issue of the game, which is a limited storage, right? Like, that is the number one reason why this game has not been able to retain players and why people leave. Is storage. It's the number one issue. And I would be very surprised if anyone would argue with me that that is not the main issue of this game. It's right, like, look at it this way. If they reduced the amount of loot that spawned and the game was much harder, such that you need to hold on to medicine and good food and like more clothing items, then people would actually try to keep those items, right? People would actually try to hold on to a puffy jacket in their base, because when a winter storm rolls around and they don't have any food in their base, what are they going to do? Well, they could die and they could respawn, but obviously that would be an issue, I would say, that would need fixing. But they can either, one, wait it out in their base, or two, they can keep a puffy jacket in their storage, and then they can now go out and loot some stuff, right? But there's no reason to. Like, everyone fills up their boxes with the best stuff. In Rust, you don't see that. People will hang on to other stuff. They'll hang on to junk items. They'll hang on to, because everything has a use in Rust, right? There's so many items in this game that just have like no use, and like the developers have implemented them, but like they're pointless. Like, they've added farming and seeds, and their reasoning is, well, some people might want to do it. You don't have to do it. You don't need to do it, but some people might want to. No, make a use for every single thing in the game. I'm not saying that everyone will farm, right? But if it was good enough to be worthwhile, then people will do it. And right now, farming is just one feature of the game that it doesn't have a use. Like, why would I spend the time to fetch water and plant seeds when I can just take a fucking pistol out and one-shot a deer in a field outside my house and then cook it up, you know, and have enough meat to last through, you know, basically not two life cycles, but, alright, so someone looted this area. This is the highway I was talking about. It leads up to the bunker and the hospital. But yeah, I mean, why would I do that when I can last through essentially 200% points of hunger with one deer? And guys, let me tell you, these deers are everywhere. They're everywhere, and they only take one hit from like any gun. So I can take a .22 pistol, shoot a deer in the leg, and it will die, and it will have like 4 deer meat on it. Like, look at this. It's a no one. You see that? Why that's it doesn't have a use. Why would anyone pick it up? Boots are cool. I always take boots, but they're not really useful. I mean, this is essentially what makes a good game is like the features are worthwhile pursuing, and none of, like, there's so many features in this game that are just not worthwhile. They're not. And, you know, the developers can say, well, you know, we add this because you have the option to do it, but the reason why you should add something is such that it's worthwhile, and then people can decide whether or not they want to do it. But as long as it's worthwhile to everyone, like, it's different for everyone, but I would say that farming is only worthwhile to, like, you know, 1% of the larger player base. Like, the die-hard fanboys that will sit on their bases in PvE servers and roleplay, essentially. Like, that's cool for them, but that's not what this kind of game attracts, right? This kind of game attracts people who want a PvP, and I would hope people that want to survive against the elements, right? Luthias mentioned the game Dead Side, how they're not going to bother with any survival mechanics. That game's not going to be successful. I'd bet my life on it because it's mechanically and visually it is mechanically and visually worse than Escape from Tarkov, which offers the same thing. Okay, for people that want to PvP in a realistic scenario to loot, Escape from Tarkov is like your best game. Now, you can make an argument, well, Escape from Tarkov is an open world, it's instanced, and, you know. Yeah, but I think part of the open world aspect of survival games is that you're progressing throughout the game and knowing that if you die, you could lose all that progression, right? You don't have that in Escape from Tarkov. You don't lose your progression. Unless you, like, if you die over and over again, then you'll lose your progression, but yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into Escape from Tarkov, but I don't think Dead Side will be very successful if they're trying to claim that they don't need survival aspects in an open world game like that, when the game is not visually appealing, it's not mechanically appealing. Everything I've seen from it so far, it just doesn't look good. Now, you know, I play this game because I think it's very immersive. I like the fact that the houses and the rooms of places aren't just fucking empty. Like, it's filled with objects, whether or not you can interact with them. It feels like I'm actually looting. Although, I think the game has kind of moved away from how looting has worked in the past. I very much liked looting in the South when the South was the only place you could loot, because you could actually find stuff there. Now it's just like, there's no point to loot in the South. You can just run up into the North and get all your gear and then PvP with people. And yeah. I'm going to take a sip of this coffee because I've been talking for a while and I've been all over the place. And like I said, this wasn't going to be a video to express my arguments. I'll make other videos for that where I can stay on topic and try to go from point to point. That's a player up ahead. Yeah. Also, I've wasted time doing some stuff. This rambling has made me kind of go off topic here. But the purpose of this video was actually to, hey dude, I'm friendly. I don't know where you're at. I'm just running through. Yeah, it's too.
Show yourself.
Alright, yeah, there's actually a lot of people on right now. And normally this is not the norm. I don't actually see people this often because the map is so large, even on a full server. If you like want to see people, then you can hang around the hospital or the bunker, but yeah, the point of this video though, I'm sorry, was to show you that I've kind of done a run through. I'm in the north now. I'm really close to the bunker. I'm about to be at the hospital. Whether or not I'll find loot there is, you know, who knows. I mean, it seems like there's people in this area right now, so it could be that I don't find a single thing. That's alright, though. There's a lot of other places that you can go. Like, I could go over to the harbor, but I'm not going to do that for this video, because I don't want to have to run for another 20 minutes. But yeah, this is essentially the core issue of the game is like, it's a loot and PvP fest, right? Like, everyone's bases are filled with heaps of ammo and heaps of guns, and there's no real reason to store anything else other than that, right? Because the only point to the game is to PvP and maybe raid, right? Like, if the game had hard-hitting survival elements, then I would want to store other things to make me survive, such that I don't die out in the middle of nowhere and have a chance at losing it all, right? I want to be able to survive. Yeah, I do think that they should increase storage. That's gonna be a whole video, because that is the #1 issue, like I mentioned before. And in order for them to increase storage, they pretty much need to introduce a wipe cycle. And like I've already argued, I don't think that introducing a wipe cycle takes anything away from the game. In fact, I think it adds to the game. I think it makes the game have a lot of replayability. And I don't think the players who have full metal towable bases, I don't think that they're playing this game very realistically. I really don't think they are. Like, unless you play all day every single day, then you should not be able to do that. The whole point of towing metal parts like that, in my opinion, is to fortify the inner part of your base, which contains your best loot. That is, in my opinion, what should be happening. Yeah, so this is the hospital. It's got pretty good loot. Mainly the cars out here. And as you can see, guys, you know, I've been ignoring my hydration and food the entire time. That's just the way I play, right? There's no point in doing anything until it becomes an issue. Like, there are times where I have died to ignoring my hydration, because for the most part, it's a fucking joke. Like, it's a joke, right? It's not hard-hitting. Basically, what will happen is if I get to 0% hydration, I will die over time. But it's not like an instant death. There's no repercussions. It's basically you just tick away health until you increase your hydration level again. And Luthias already showed that you can increase your hydration by simply walking up to any body of water, drinking it, taking a little bit of a radiation hit, and I'll tell you what, now that I'm already in the north, I could run over to the ocean over there, or run over to the pond over there, get my hydration up to 100%, run back over here, and get rid of all my radiation using this shower. And if I didn't want to use that, oh, well, you know what, maybe I'll just walk into the hospital and loot one of the, like, fucking 20 anti-rad pills that spawn there. Right? Like, items are not, items are very common. Yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm really looking for anything. I don't know how to explain it. I know where to go. I think they really need to just balance out where everything spawns. I'm not even going to bother going into the hospital right now because it for the most part doesn't really spawn any guns or ammo. It just spawns meds and, you know, hazmat suits and blah 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 blah. There might be people here, and if I die, that's fine. I was going to kill myself anyways just to respawn at my base and show you guys what I mean by having an amount of stuff after only a couple days of playing. There's a guy in here, I think. Oh, never mind, I heard the tent. That tent always, the tent always throws me off. Yeah, I was only gonna run back to my base if I found anything, like, super worthwhile. Actually, I should check that, because sometimes 2 items can spawn. Ah, shit, actually, that is kind of worthwhile. Keep it. I haven't found an M9 in a while. To be honest, so I don't really care. I really don't. I'll explain why I don't care here in a second. Yeah, the loot could be better. I could have found some rifles. I found that SAS, and I found the MAC-10, but, you know, this game is not hard. Like, let's say I was fresh on a server, I could throw a 1x1 up real quick, get 4 boxes down, throw all this stuff in here, and then go to the bunker, go to the harbors, and then just, it's a rinse and repeat. There's no challenge to it. The only challenge is if you come across people and they kill you, right? But I've already explained why that's, like, not an issue. It's not an issue because the map is so fucking big for the amount of people that are on it that it's just a game of RNG, really. Alright, I'm gonna kill myself here. Gotta find a way to kill myself. Yeah, I'm not gonna run to my base just in case, you know, anyone figures out where the server is and they come to find out where my base is because they disagree with my views, but yeah, I wanted to touch on a lot more in this video, but I think I did a alright job at just showing, yeah, if you run straight to the north, and there's no challenge to it. I mean, that's what the game lacks. It lacks challenge, it lacks progression, and the progression is very limited as well. Like, even if the game had a sense of progression, like I said before, like, you gotta spend a little time in the south getting some stuff, then you go to the north, and you put a little simple base down, and you progress throughout. There's a limit on the progression. There's a limit on the progression because you can't hold more than a certain amount of items at your base, right? And if they removed that limit, introduced a wipe cycle, and there'd be a lot of other things. I'd want them to increase the server size as well. But if they also added a queue, because if the game got popular, if they did this thing and the game got popular, you'd want to be able to queue up to the server you play on. But a month, like, look at it this way. Um, it's the first day of the wipe. It's a monthly wipe cycle, or let's say it's a 2-month wipe cycle. The first thing that you do, the way that I see this game should be operating, you spend some time in the south because you don't have a base yet. Remember that the game just wiped. You don't have a base. You don't have anything. Everyone spawns in the south. You can't speed run your way up to the north because the threats in the north are too great, and the threat of not keeping up your hunger and your hydration is too great that you could just go up there and die, and you'd lose all your progression because you wouldn't even be able to reach your body as a fresh spawn, right? That's how I think the game should be operating. So you'd spawn in, you'd spend some time in the south. Everyone on wipe day will essentially be down there. You can be smart about it. You can go to places that other people might not go, right? That's personally what I would do if I found there's too many people. At the same time, if you're playing with a big group, you might just say, all right, let's all go to Woodhaven and let's fucking dominate Woodhaven until we're all geared up enough to go start a base. We can now go start a base because if we come across a bear, we have some items that we can deal with it as a group. Then we get that base down, and now we're picking apart the middle parts of the map, the checkpoints, getting a little bit of military gear. Not a whole lot. Then we move up to the north. Now we have a steady supply of meds from the hospital and some guns and ammo from the bunker. A steady supply. That's the key thing here. A steady supply, not an abundance of it as it is now. If you guys play the game, then you know that there's an abundance of this shit. I dropped this stuff earlier because I literally don't have enough space in my base, and I don't want to lose all this stuff. But yeah, and then essentially, the people that spend enough time to progress, maybe they die a couple times trying to get a base down, and they're able to take on the challenges of going to the northern areas. And like Luthai said, I really liked his idea about offering like more puzzles and stuff like that. This is one thing I've always thought about, is adding more stuff like that, because that's really fun. That stuff is really fun. Like, going through the bunker for the first time was the most fun I've ever had in this game. I didn't watch any videos, so I had to figure out, I got to reboot the power and then run across. And it's like, it's interesting because I don't like how linear the bunker is, but it's interesting making your way through the bunker to find out, you gotta reboot the power, and then you can go in the armory, which is like where the good shit spawns. And I think they can keep that. I just think that it shouldn't be in abundance, and I think that they should add a couple more locations like that with an increased server population. There'd be a healthy mix of progressing / encountering other people that want to challenge you, right? It won't be all the time because the server is a very large map. I could probably go to the bunker right now and not find anyone there. Although, it doesn't always happen. But, yeah, and in terms of, like, base progression, the start of it would be everyone has wooden bases. If you want to spend your time trying to get better guns and ammo, you could do that. Or you could spend your time upgrading your base to fully plated, right? And now, I personally, I think there needs to be a huge change to the balancing of raiding right now, and because I think it's too easy to upgrade your base for what people are willing to raid you for. But that all goes back to the issue of why do bother people to raid. And then the end game, I personally don't like the towing system. I think it's stupid. I think they should have added a kind of high quality metal system like Rust. I think that would have made more sense. But regardless, towing, it's kind of the same thing, because you have to spend your time to find a car, get the car working, tow the pieces back to your base in one piece, and then upgrade them. Although I do think they should reduce it such that a normal, like let's say a 3-person clan, maybe like a week or two into the wipe, maybe they start to get a couple of pieces, but it shouldn't be such that at the end of the 2-month cycle that they have a honeycombed metal towable base that no one can get into. Like no one would bother raiding that. There'd be no point unless there might be a reason to, but I don't think anyone would bother trying to raid that with the current balance. But just to show you kind of some stuff. All this gunpowder I actually got from raiding one of my neighbors. I raided him twice. And just to go to show that I try to control the area, I raided him, I destroyed his bed, he came back. People tried raiding him, I ran across them, they killed me. I respawned, I killed those guys, and then I killed the guy again, destroyed his bed, and I'm willing to bet that he's going to try to progress his base again. And why? Because it's very easy to. All he needs to do is run back up here, build another bed, loot for a little bit, and he'll already have some high tier guns with some high tier ammo, some high tier defensives. Like one thing I think that he should do is he should build an airlock though. That's how he got raided twice. But yeah, so I've got a lot of stuff here. Like I've got all this animal fat just from popping deer out in these fields over here. I'm not going to reveal where I'm at. There's a bear near me. Can shoot him and kill him. I have this for kind of like survival / junk stuff that I might want to keep. Some people tend to just say fuck it and not keep any of this stuff, and they'll just fill everything up with guns and ammo. I should probably get rid of some of this stuff. I keep the meds because I do like going to the radiated zones. I think it's good loot with low risk. The food I keep there just because I don't want to have to like continuously kill bears and wait for the meat to cook. I just try to do it all in one batch. And the rest is stuff just that I threw in there. This is my ammo box. I've seen better. I keep a lot of mags because I like to play with all the different guns, and I like to have I usually like to have like 3 different mags, 1 in the gun and 2 in and then just some more ammo so I can reload if I get into a fight. I've got a lot of shit. I've got 200 rounds of like 7.62, 172 5.56, 245, 209 millimeter, 250 10 millimeter. I PvP'd a lot in the last couple days. There are a lot of times though I'll go out to the hospital, just kind of camp in the hospital, see if anyone rolls up, and no one rolls up, and I get so bored that I leave, which is why I think the server population should be increased. I can't imagine what a new player feels like rolling into fucking Woodhaven and not seeing anyone. Yeah, just some more base building stuff here. I'm gonna upgrade my base, so that's why I didn't actually farm any of that lumber. I got it all from raiding and killing other people. But again, people might fill this up with ammo and stuff because they already have a fully upgraded base if they've been playing for a while. Yeah, just some repair kits, like if I want to go on if I find a shitty base that I want to raid. Grenades and stuff, I tend to keep some of this stuff around. I got that Reaver from the Easter event. I've got 2 ghillie suits with hoods and everything. I keep that backpack to use with the ghillie suits. Hazmat suit plus mask plus canister allows me to go to an irradiated zone. Box full of guns. Normally I wouldn't even keep this many sidearms. I just like to have a healthy mix. And this is like essentially the good shit, I've got it's just all high tier stuff, right? Like, in my opinion, this should be the stuff that you should have to work a couple days of, maybe an hour or 2 of playing to progress, but it's not how the game works, guys. You can get all this stuff within a couple hours of booting up onto a server. I could get this gun, probably not with all these attachments, but I could get this gun with a full thing of ammo probably within 2 hours of playing. Like, there's no progression. Yeah, I know I've been all over the place in this video, and I hope you guys have stuck around. I don't even know how long I've been going on for, probably over an hour now. But if you enjoyed the video, please let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. Let me know why. I want to discuss with people my ideas, and I'll defend them, but I want a healthy discussion with people. Um, I really hope that the fanboys of the Miscreated Discord don't come in here, and I hope they don't come in here and basically just blindly defend the devs. I think I've given pretty good reasons for why things should be a certain way. I think the game itself speak to itself as to why there's not a lot of people playing. Why on feedback threads and on the general forums and on the subreddit, people are always going in there and talking about storage and why, and just asking for more storage, even though it's like fucking they changed it twice in the past, and they haven't changed it. Like, I don't even think I've ever seen them publicly say, we're never going to increase storage because we don't want to. We don't want to because we don't want to introduce wipe cycles into this game. How can people know that? Like, I honestly think that the larger player base does not know that. If the larger player base knew that, then you would see people saying, add wipes to the game. Wipe the game such that we can have more storage. And I might be in the minority here for wanting wipes, but I really do think wipes will, like, drastically increase the quality of this game. It will increase the replayability. It'll make the game fucking fun. And if they did it, like, every update or so, they could do it, like, every 2 months. You'd be booting into a new update and a new story. Like, that's why Rust is so popular, the wipe cycle. Truthfully, I don't think Rust would be as popular as it is now if they didn't have some sort of wipe cycle. Because people like to be able to raid other people and take all their shit and just have loot rooms after loot rooms. You don't have that in this game. All I have is a 2x2. I have all my loot here. Okay? I have an airlock. Right? That's it. I'm going to upgrade this base, but upgrading the base is just so people can't get to this shit. Right? It's the same thing as Rust. But in Rust, if you want to be able to store so much items, you got to plan in advance, right? So if they wanted, in Rust, if they wanted more than a 2x2 of loot, they need to plan in advance for that. You could actually predict a 1x1. I could probably fit a bed in here and then take the furnaces out and just have this fireplace and the furnaces, keep the unimportant shit, and just have this be filled up with guns and ammo, and just have this fully protected and basically never see it raided within a good amount. And even if I got raided, it wouldn't be a hard hit. It really wouldn't. I'd have my base. I'd just have to fix it and repair it and spend a couple days looting to get the good shit again. I might be, like I said, I might be pissed about losing some really rare stuff, but it's much better compared to a game like Rust. Rust is hardcore. But yeah, I'm gonna leave the video off here. Like I said, I'm going to make some videos trying to essentially make arguments for the first one will probably be storage and the wipe cycle. I think that's the biggest thing. Then I'll touch on some other issues, like progression and all of those things. But I think that to really just bring players back now, they'd have to increase storage and do some sort of wipe cycle. I truly think that's what will bring players back. And there is a question of whether or not players will actually return. Not gonna lie, I've kind of losing hope for this game, especially after talking with the developers. But thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to discussing this with all of you guys. Bye.